And then let's go ahead and I'm not going to cover an underdog token today because I got a different request and I saved it for the last part of the show because there's not really much I can personally do, but I wanted to at least accommodate this request. It came in kind of late minute and I wanted to make sure I spoke to it because it is possible that people listening to the show are invested in the token or have interest in the token. Those that know and have followed my coverage know that I have been extremely hesitant to do anything around SAFUU. And the reason I've been pretty clear, and some of this went to the podcast and some went on YouTube. For those on the podcast hearing this for the first time, I covered SAFUU a while ago. And SAFUU, I understood why it existed. It was in response to Titano and mostly Libero. The challenge I had with SAFUU is when I looked at the code, and I went line by line in the code, and I saw fundamental issues in the code and how it was presented, and I didn't like what I was seeing. I didn't like what was going on. It seemed like something was problematic in the code, to which the person I referred to as the car salesman, who's the guy in charge of it, who's apparently changed his name to Brian Legend, quote unquote. Brian Legend, apparently, according to what I'm told on YouTube, has a reputation for having rug pulled, and that's why I saved it here because I just got done defining rug pull in my own words. Apparently has a reputation for rug pulling other projects. One of them, I remember the name was Clever DeFi, which I'd never heard of. But a number of people responded on YouTube and said, this guy, he's going to rug pull on you again because that's what he does. He goes from project to project, he rug pulls, and then he takes the money, he spins up another project, and then he hides overseas to duck the smoke and the enforcement. And the last I saw was like Spain, and he was chilling out with some girl. But I looked at the code, and I saw all sorts of problems in it. Things where they can mint tokens, function mint. For those that don't understand function mint, function means I can call it. It means the owner can call it, can execute it, can make it work, and do it. Mint means I can create more tokens out of thin air. Magic internet money. So I called out a number of these. I went line by line, and I said, I think these are problems. Personally, I think these are issues. I wouldn't trust it. It's up to you guys. You want to do it? A number of people, countless people, even now, jumped down my throat and attacked me because they're gamblers, and I respect their right to be gamblers. However, later, the price followed the exact pattern I expected it would, and I broke down what I thought the graph was going to do because it was obvious based on the constrained inventory. And I was clear. It's going to do this, it's going to do that, it's going to do that. It's done everything I said it was going to do. Balls to bones so far. I have not been wrong on what I predicted. And later, I was talking about the fact that it took a crap, and it did. The price took a crap, as expected. And I said that it's going to take some decisions about the sell pressure to understand what's going to happen from here. Again, I continually get attacked because there are just these diehards around the SAFUU project trying to protect their bags more than anything else. It's not that they agree or disagree with me at all. We're talking people that are trying to protect their bags. It's the same as really with Satama. There are just people that want to protect their bags. They don't really care about the coverage that I'm providing. They're just trying to protect their bags, or as other people would say, cover their ass. And I understand they have every right to try to keep their bags safe, but it's not me that they need to keep their bags, quote, SAFUU from. It's the SAFUU development team. Not because I think that they specifically are scammers, but because when I provide the coverage and I go line by line in the contract, and I tell you these things are what I see, and this car salesman should come on the show and talk it out if he's legit, and he should want the smoke, and he refuses, and you're still defending, even though I pointed you line by line in the code where something's wrong. At that point, you're in an echo chamber. At that point, it starts to be a cult. Like SAFUU is starting to be a cult with the people that follow it. All I did is I said, this is what I see on the site. Here's the problems I see. I don't regard any of this. What many of the people are resonating with is the fact that car salesman does AMAs. And he tries to explain, and he does this, and he'll say, well, people fail all the time, and I failed a lot of times, and I'm getting better, and this is the one. So I said in response that it can only ever be, and I said the same thing with Paratoken. I said the same thing with Satama, because it's the pattern. They all are following the same pattern. It can only ever be malicious, meaning he's a straight up scammer, or he's a blistering idiot. There is no other definition, because when we look at the graph doing exactly what I said it would do, which is it crapped, and it did crap close to 200 per coin down. It crapped. A lot of people got so-called wrecked on the way down. I said it should recover based on popularity alone, but it depends on the sell pressure. Everybody knows this. Everybody in crypto knows that, but you still got people in denial. This Brian dude, because he does these AMAs, people seem to want to trust him blindly. Now you got into the world of cult, because he's not giving any real fundamentals behind what he says. I let it marinate because I'm not trying to tell anybody what to do with their money. It's up to them what they want to do with their money. I have no skin in the game because I'm not invested in SAFUU. I provided the coverage. It is what it is, and I did at least 2 follow-ons on YouTube. This is the first time you're hearing me speak of this on the podcast to this extensive degree, because this person asked me to do so. Because what happened, they heard presumably my coverage on YouTube, and then there was new events that came from Certik. You heard me say before, Libero, of all these ones that do farming as a service and all this stuff, Libero's the only one to complete a Certik audit, and they got one of the highest scores possible. That increased my confidence in Libero. I never once said that it is or isn't a scam. I said that their confidence, I'm more confident in them as a project because they went through fire to get the Certik done, and they came out clean on the back end, and they're doing what they told me. SAFUU had applied for the Certik audit. Now, with the stuff I found in the contract, I was pretty confident they weren't going to pass that audit, because if they did, Certik would lose all credibility. Well, 2 days ago, the Certik team, and it's a special type of Twitter account they have called Certik Alert, sent out a message saying that the highly skilled, quote, KYC and fraud investigation team. Now, if the KYC team is doing this, you know it's a problem. But then the fraud investigation team, the word fraud is in black letter. They've delisted the SAFUU protocol project due to high risk indicators concerning the SAFUU owner, that's Mr. Car Salesman, affiliation with previous high risk projects. They're saying what these commentators said that everybody said is FUD, which is Mr. Car Salesman has rug pulled projects before. And because he's associated with them, we're going to delist it because we don't trust them. This goes back to what I said in my rug pull definition. If you have a history of malintent and you've cheated people before, it means that there should be a loss of trust in the new project by default. Same thing I had said when I first covered it, and I got attacked. So I'm glad Certik validated at least that stance. But there's more. They found centralization issues. The centralization issue is in every single audit. Every single token fails for centralization. Centralization means, what can the owner do that we don't think they should be able to do by themselves? Because those lend to rug pulls. Now the trick and they gave snippets of the code and what it is. They called out something I didn't call out. And the reason I didn't call it out is because I felt it was moot, because I assumed Car Salesman would have rugged by now. And I got that wrong, and I'm okay saying he hasn't rugged yet, and he's still in the game for however long it lasts. But they called out that, and this really goes to website. On the website, they talk about the idea of a treasury. So the treasury is a wallet address of its own. And when you do the treasury, the treasury is supposed to be an independent wallet, because the treasury is supposed to be holding funds on behalf of all investors. What it looks like, according to Certik, they said, and I'm glad to look at it myself, but they said that basically this treasury receiver wallet and the owner wallet are the same account wallet. I know people don't generally look at code, and many don't understand code. This is why I said, and I went line by line to try to explain what stuff is, but I didn't do this one. If you have a treasury that you've told people is going to hold this fund and it's going to keep the project stable, that's the intent of the treasury, is to stabilize the price movement. And we've seen extreme volatility in the price since the thing's launched, just like I said it was going to do, for the reasons I said it was going to do so, which was that the rebasing wasn't going to work. The rebase depends on the treasury in order to do what it needs to do. If you don't have the stable treasury, you can't rebase it effectively. There won't be sustained value that you can recover. That's why I believe SAFUU has struggled to get back anywhere near its all-time high of 330 per coin. So the fact that his wallet is the same as the treasury receiver wallet, this, even if you don't read code, when you hear me describe that, you hear me describe that the treasury's intent is to stabilize the value of the project. And you hear that that wallet address is the owner's wallet address, which is car salesman. Even if you don't know code, us explaining that to you should instantly set off klaxons. Read, read, read. You should instantly be saying, okay, this is huge red flag. Instead, there are people still defending it because, quote, Brian explained that on the AMA. I will do the best I can to try to break that cult narrative, but I can't do it alone. If you know somebody in this project, it's critical you understand if the treasury wallet is not an independent wallet standalone, if the treasury wallet is the same as the owner's wallet, you're giving him money. You're paying him directly. So he could basically take it, do whatever. That's what that means. That cannot be FUD. It's in the code. The code is public. Anybody can go look at it. This is not anything that people should not know. Like it's in the code. I know some can't read the code. That's fine. Anybody can go and interpret it that way. And you can go to marketmove.ai, which I recommend, and they'll tell you some of this stuff. Or you can find somebody who knows the code and have them do it. And I encourage you to get a second opinion on what I'm saying and what it has said since day one, which is the risk aspect. It was risk. They go further. The so-called fire pit address holds 15% of the total tokens, but it's a regular wallet. The fire pit concept it started with Titano. Libero has the same. The SAFUU allegedly has the same. Some of these tokens, Quantera that just launched, allegedly has the same. The thought is that, and Richquack is another one that has that same concept. Richquack actually works though. The fire pit, the thought behind a fire pit is what we're doing is we're taking tokens from the wallets, and we are purposely burning a portion every single time we do something. This is different than a regular burn because what it's purposely doing is it's taking it from the actual remaining supply. So instead of taking it from the circulation, we're taking it in addition to the circulation, we're also taking a portion. So think of it like a 401k match, right? If I have a 401k and they say it's a 3% match, which is the current garbage in the United States, you're putting in 3%, your employer's matching 3%. The real intent of the fire pit as originally implemented was that you were going to take your traded percentage by way of tax. So you sell, you buy, or whatnot, and that gets burned, but then they would also match it, and this would come from a different pool. Throughout the site, they refer to it as a burn. I'm going to talk about burn on a different episode because I don't want to spend more time on this than I need to, but suffice it to say that what they're doing isn't a burn because it's going to a real wallet that somebody has access to. The response from the diehards is, well, Brian explained that on the AMA. Everything is, well, Brian explained that. Well, Brian explained that. Well, Brian explained that. Look, if you had a teacher for your kid at your school and you searched out your kid's phone and your kid's phone has a photo of your teacher in the nude, and you go to the teacher and you confront him and say, why the hell does my kid have a nude photo of you? And the teacher says, well, I mean, they must have stolen it from me. And you say, okay, that's the acceptable explanation. No, you're going to be like, no, dude, lady, you're lying. I know you're lying because I see evidence that you must have sent this to them because there's the only way to get it on their phone. This blind trust and faith, this cult following is not healthy, folks. It's not. We shouldn't do this. This is what's harming the crypto business when we have people who refuse to accept even factual truth from one of the most credible organizations in all crypto, in Certik, telling you and showing you screens of what the heck's happening here, and people are still debunking it. I'm sorry, that's frightening. It's frightening. It's truly frightening. So, in summary, and in response to the request, this doesn't surprise me. It really doesn't surprise me at all. The SAFUU team Twitter account responded and claimed that they paid $25,000. I'm pretty sure that's the fee. And then they openly said, oh, you're defaming us. False allegations about being a scam. And I know this is the car salesman. I could tell by the verbiage. And that same Twitter account doesn't respond to me when I at them, because I at them all the time. And their biggest heartburn is that was made public. Certik is trying to protect people. They're trying to keep people safe, because if it's true that this car salesman has access to these funds, it's a matter of time. It's a matter of time before the money gets taken. And they're trying to keep people from getting ripped off. The guy comes across as a car salesman, and I don't know what it's going to take. Him coming across as a car salesman or one of the most reputable firms in the business telling you that there's all this scam, sketchy material in the code and nothing's being done about it. I'm not sure. And people are just blindly following because he goes on video. This is actually a known fallacy where you just blindly follow somebody simply because you see them on video. That's not all. You got to look at past history. You got to look at everything, the totality of behavior, how they act. This guy has taken money before. That's kind of a problem to me. And that's how I stand on it. It doesn't surprise me because I went through the code myself and I saw fundamental issues, but I wasn't going to parse all of it. And I gave that car salesman an opportunity to come on the show and talk to me. If you're really legit, you should be willing to come on the show and debunk what I'm saying. Don't just come on the video and claim I don't know what I'm talking about. And then you just got your pants dropped by Certik telling you the same thing, which is that this looks sketchy. And the stuff that's there creates a huge risk. Because if we see that, now that everybody sees that this is in the code, it actually creates the risk that he might rug because he might take a run, make a dash, because he might see that he got caught and take the money and run. And that's really unfortunate. And for those that are the diehards of SAFUU, I'm going to implore you to get smarter about when you see evidence, when you see proof, you see definitive proof, and it's the best organization for identifying these types of issues, and you still won't understand that you're being sold a bill of goods by this dude, whether he rug pulls now or later, you got to understand at some point you're just creating your own problem. So it's up to you if you want to stay in the project. I don't recommend it. I never have, but it's up to you. And I will make sure that I provide this statement on YouTube because I want everybody to hear it. But to me, it's like I said, not SAFUU. I'm going to keep that narrative until car salesman wants to try to prove me wrong by coming on with actual data and take hard questions, take it on the chin. I know he's not going to do it. He doesn't want the smoke. And I understand why now.